To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source.
Ah.
Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly.
Like
One of
making
the
people
things that
nauseous.
it does very well...
Hey, what's up? My name is Laura, welcome back to my channel. It's been a couple of weeks, I've been very busy, but I promised you some follow-up to the Stanley Parable that I played, I think 2 weeks ago. And I've had some friends bugging me about it, so here's the beginner's guide, which is also by the same people of Stanley Parable, and this time around I haven't already played it like back in the day, so I'm very curious to see what this game is all about. It's not as famous as the Stanley Parable, but still probably is very good, so let's go. Please make sure the audio is on. Yes, it is. I have my lovely old Starbucks cup with like a liter of coffee.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote the Stanley Parable.
Yay!
And while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011.
Okay.
We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And
cool.
Mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level.
Yeah,
and of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this?
Yeah.
This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're
it's the
all
same texture
fascinating as games, but that they
Parable.
are all going to give us access to their creator.
Got to map this
I want us
one.
to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever.
Aww.
And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since.
Okay.
And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com.
So this first level, as I should maybe call it, I mean, in this menu they say skip this level, restart the level, so okay, let's just refer to these as levels. This is like the level of programming and design, well, maybe only programming games that I have accomplished. Like, I've only did some coding back when I was getting my bachelor's, and I messed around with Unity a lot, a little bit with Unreal, but that's about it. And I really learned that coding is just, it's not for me. It feels like math, and I also just cannot do it. I don't understand the structures. For some reason, it's just I wish it would, but it just doesn't stick with me. Unfortunately, probably a lot of people won't agree with me when I say that it's like math, but that doesn't really matter to me. It feels like I can compare it to math because my brain doesn't understand it. So anyway, when I see a level like this, I really vibe. I hate that word, but I really vibe with it. I understand it. I've done similar things. You know, you're so proud and you can walk around in it, and that's basically it. It has a lot of unfinished textures and crates inside of walls, and things don't work, but also it kind of feels like like he says, you're in a desert town, but it like makes zero sense, you know. It's probably in a game, it's just a small path which you can walk through or just have to. So right off the bat, I'm like, yeah, I feel this. The same with the recycling bin. I don't think I've ever really emptied my recycling bin. It's important. The same with my downloads folder. It's just full of references that I use for, I don't know, designing whatever, but also for InDesign. So all my fonts are basically in my downloads folder, which is not a great way to work, but it's how I work. Okay, enough rambling. Let's continue.
Okay, that's about it for introduction.
Oh.
Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game.
Okay.
As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Cool. Portal vibes, maybe? Ooh!
Whisper machine active. Shift destruction.
Ooh! What's happening? Can
This
I
game
run?
is called
Oh, I
Escape
can't.
from Whisper, and it's one
Okay.
of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Eee. No. Okay. Okay, I thought follow the light, but nope. Okay.
You can click to fire the gun.
Oh. But I don't want to fire a gun. Ooh.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
Oh, alien life form, hostile.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere. But then clearly there are no enemies anywhere.
Oh, I
You
can't
can't
walk.
even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But
Oh,
ultimately
this
we
is
don't really
class?
know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force
Okay.
neutralized. Begin shift evacuation.
Go.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
How do you skybox? Yeah. Oh, dude, I loved creating skyboxes. I believe there's this. Isn't there a tool for it? I mean, when I'm talking about designing games, just keep in mind that I'm talking about or with knowledge from 10 years ago, so it probably makes zero sense. But I believe there was some program that lets you easily create a skybox, and oh, dude, I would spend like hours, maybe days in said program just so I could have my perfect Unity skybox, and then everything else in it would completely suck because again I cannot program. But at least I'd have this perfect skybox. Why isn't... Oh, okay, it's opening as I walk to it. Okay, fine. I don't... like...
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Okay, thank you. That's great, we're
Okay,
still...
this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the Whisper Machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Cool.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the Whisper Machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam.
Oh!
It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it?
Oh,
Would you
interesting.
give yourself?
how many people are we talking about? What if it's all just a test and there is only her, or maybe her voice is programmed? Oh, this is an interesting concept. It's like would you press this button and you win $1 million, but you...
This is not a branching point, unfortunately. The only option is to step into the beam.
Okay.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Okay. Oh, you respawn? So this is not intentional. Okay. Oh, yeah, I've had this happen to me while making stuff. Ooh. Oh, it's always
fun. The
fun.
beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Is the dude himself just Coda? Probably. The puzzles behind her. Yeah, if you've ever played a single video game, you're always like, so I need to go this direction? Okay, what's on the opposite side? It's... whatever. Okay.
Yep. In this game, you can only walk backwards.
Okay. Fun. Whee! And also very inconvenient, but sure. Alright. Where is the light coming from? I mean, I love the...
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Okay. Sure. Oh. Why does the future keep changing? What do you mean with that? Cool. When she stops and looks, she becomes clearer. Does it now? Kinda. Am I stuck? No, I am not. If the future is always behind her, then how will she find the strength to
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Can you still call it a game though? That's what I would argue. Just because it's in a digital world and you can, how do you say it? Like you can give inputs to which direction you want it to go. You want your character or your camera to go. Would you still call this a game or a level? So is it enjoyable? That's one of the things that makes a game if it's fun. But you know, fun is super subjective. To me this is fun because I'm curious. So yeah, for me this would make this a game. Because I feel like we're going somewhere, but You are now entering, yes?
And that's it.
Oh.
Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Okay.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to
Can
him.
you jump off?
And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
No. Okay. There's wind. Ooh.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
I thought that was the thing, you know, like the top is unreachable. Unreachable. Oh, you walk around talking people down from pursuing their hopes and dreams. Excuse me? Stand on an X staring at a beer for 3 hours.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
Okay.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him
Surrender.
as old
Can I
or
surrender?
distant.
No.
He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
So I wouldn't really call these games. I would call them applications. But sure. But that's just maybe me being nitpicky. Okay. Portal, Stanley Parable vibes. Yes, he's
This
getting
isn't new
better
for
at
Coda. It's an actual
modeling.
puzzle.
Yeah.
Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Okay, sure. So I can open the door, and then this is black and dark, and I cannot open this one. Okay. Can I walk around? I can. Am I stupid? Oops.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon.
Okay.
We're gonna see it a lot.
3 dots.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. All right, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll...
Ooh, the music is quite odd. Sound quality? Oh, give me captions. Yes, please.
remove all of the walls from this room.
Ooh! Why would you have so
How about
many
that?
rooms?
There was more to it than we had any way of knowing.
Yeah.
I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, A dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, I think that the point is the same.
Outer
Is that
world?
most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Okay. Exiting.
Aha. So this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
But if his games were never meant to be really seen, how can one understand the bigger picture if you have missed a couple? But okay.
Let's talk about video game development for a second.
Sure.
Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do.
Yes.
So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
Yes, it is.
To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source.
Ah.
Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly.
Like
One of
making
the
people
things that
nauseous.
it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games
every
are set
engine
in these
does that.
large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Oh. This is interesting. Can I jump? Can you also fall? I don't want to fall. Maybe I do. Bam! Well, at least you won't slide down. Is there... Ooh, okay, to the side. Sure. How is this all intentional? There's probably... Is there a bigger meaning? I mean, if I look at all the crap that I've produced in game engines, there's definitely no bigger meaning other than my learning curve. Bam! Okay. Now what? Can I look upstairs? Oh, upstairs? Can I look up? Oh, there's a bottom. Oh, that is interesting. Is there a switch? What is it? There's again this glass thingy that you're cannot really see. Can I? No, I cannot. It's just the light. Okay, whatever. This looks like a sewer. Not really. What is this for? No. Oh, that sound. It reminds me of what's the game called again? Is this puzzle game? That small snippet. It's really cool, but it has this annoying sound every once in a while, and it just makes you jump, especially when you're very focused. So I've seen this mod where it would just remove that sound from the game. That was the entire mod, and I loved it. I heavily used it. Oh, was the name? I'll put it here, there, everywhere. It's cool. Check it out. How is this an elevator? I feel like I am a prisoner or a piece of meat. Something like that. No, I don't want to go in there, dude. Fuck that. No. Oh, okay. But I don't want to.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you
Really?
go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, we're going back
This is
down?
something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of
That's a
hundreds of
paradox,
individual
though.
games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played
Playable
every
games?
single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
So, Coda is... I'm curious, still. Okay, sure, let's go. Or Coda's Gladys? What's the name of the voice in the portal? Hey, those 3 dots again. Ah,
It's
there
the
we
puzzle
go.
again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
Okay. Is it though?
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Okay. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. Hey, listen. Hey! You there? Did you come from
Here,
above?
Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Okay. There was a world stamped with whiteness. There was an enormous prison I spent hours in. Yes, there were these floating colored blocks. Okay, sure. So what do we remember the most? Kinda. What made the most impact? I think the prison. Yeah, I'll go for the prison. Though it wasn't an hour. We've been there. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? Yes, I did. The last thing before I did. No, I don't remember having to go through any puzzle. I prefer not to tell you, after all, we've only just met. Huh. So my initial response would probably always be honest, but I'm a little bit of a naive person, I think. But why would you lie? I'll just go for 1. That's how you solve the stealth solution. I don't remember how I solved it. I'm trying to remember, but I can't. I didn't solve this, someone else let me in. Trust me, you don't want to go over there. Yeah, you don't want to go over there, it's boring. But I do, we need to get there. Do you understand? It is the most important thing to get out of this prison. Aww. Oh, hi. I thought I heard crackling of a fire, but can I like jump up to you? No, I can't. Okay. This looks like my old church, which I've kind of put in the very back of my memory, really suppressed it because I don't like churches and I don't care for religion, and so they aren't happy anymore. What the? What? They don't look very chill. Maybe I should just tell them all the same. No, it finds a black space between the doors before more interesting. Have you seen it yet? Why would you care about the space between the doors? Actually, now that you mention it, I remember feeling strange. Why would I care? Yeah, I find it a bit strange. Oh. That's interesting, I guess. And why did the closet just move? Dude.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
What? Are we back in the prison? It's on the outside?
It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't
Yeah,
tell you
amongst
quite
other
why, but
things,
for
it's
some
a
reason,
lamppost.
Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace
If
for
it
so
doesn't
long.
have a purpose,
Because now
it's
he wants
the
something
game.
to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Okay. No, it's not really, I think, because my firewall will scream at me if I connect to the internet by playing a game.
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person.
It is different, so I can see that.
In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually.
Hey.
Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them.
Okay.
Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played. But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. that I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world.
I can't jump? Oh,
and then I feel less lonely too.
Aww. Boring. That's not boring. There's an acorn somewhere. What? Someone to talk to. Okay, maybe I'm not going to read all of them. I refuse to believe? In what? Recognize me, please. Aww. Doorway. How door open? Open sesame. Makes games, includes door. Cannot open door. Thanks. Is it a puzzle? Is it a door? I don't see a handle, so... Okay. That's intrinsic. Intrinsic? Intrinsic motivation for you. The chimes? Did they keep me going? I do something, don't want to feel judged. It's not very crowded here. Go in here, I think. Yeah, don't bother. Okay. Why not? Stop. Does it now? Okay, excuse you. I will just go from now on. I don't want to read it all. No, 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 just go, just go, just go, just go. Okay.
Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one. In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
Just the next second, this door won't open. How do you solve it?
And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
So this doesn't work? Oh. It's the typewriter meeting. What?
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Okay. Sure. Sure, whatever. Yeah, it's super tacky. Like how I would imagine a millionaire's mansion in the 90s in America. Oh, now I'm at the bottom of
See,
the
like,
well.
this is it. The whole
Okay.
game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway.
Maybe
Except
you just really
for some reason,
read
Coda gets really
Murakami.
fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit
really
this
liked
prison.
it.
He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Okay. So just the outlines. Furniture to go in the center of the room. Is this a game of memory, or can I do whatever I want? A refrigerator, TV. Just put a giant hole in the ground. Why the fuck not? That's not a huge picture of a horse. No, I don't like horses. Washing machine. 10 stoves. That's not a stove. I think we should light it up. A skylight, full ceiling, window. Look, open this baby up. Tesla coils. Oh no, I want Tesla coils. I've been to the Tesla museum in Croatia. A table? This is a table? Not really, but tables were invented in 2. What the fuck?
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
Yes. What's in there? Oh, that's the picture.
So,
frame.
okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Sure. Okay. Oh, I cannot walk past. It's okay. Go right through it. Click on this table. Go to the photo frame. Why? I don't like it. This room off, turn it back on. Left side sofa, move it over a little. Touch the shelves. Do I have dwang? It's capable now open, so the steps will be taken back to your prison. What? What the hell? Okay, you lost me. Tell me.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Oh.
Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this. To see a person basically unraveling through their work.
Yes.
And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop. That particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going. And then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Is it also the last game that he worked on? I mean, it's a labyrinth? No. That could also be a metaphor for a prison, but... Again, the lamppost and what seems to be a phone booth? Oh, that sound is eerie. Oh. You're me? You were trapped in this prison too? Yeah, I was in the furniture maze.
It's a conversation.
Yeah, I was in the escape
And so
area.
this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
I mean, the prison had no sound. That's better than this sound. Yeah, it sucks. It was comfortable, I knew its limits. Don't you feel excited figuring out one's freedom? But 3 doesn't really bring the conversation further. I feel like my old me self should ask me the third one, so whatever. You won't always have something that you care about as much as this. Just be with that enthusiasm for it, let it ooze into your flesh. What the fuck? We didn't get a call, right? Or did we? I don't think so. Can you tell me how to get out? Maybe I can find you. What do I have to do? Sincere. Huh? You've lost me. Is it to get out of your mind? Like you're just, I don't know, is this developer very depressed and does he need to, or am I looking too much into this? I don't know. Yeah, be sincere. Just talk to me for a bit. Yeah, I don't know, dude. You be here?
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes. It's kind of the point of religion, right?
So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
This is more advanced than anything he has
To
made
me,
so
this
far.
environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle.
How?
With the 2 doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Okay, I can see that. But he has included way more models and way better texture mapping. But yeah, sure. Oh, he spilled his